Hey everyone, so we're getting started soon here. This is Gordon Freeman, the free man, helping to lead people through crypto from the darkness into the light. We're having some technical issues with YouTube for some reason. Every time they launch something new in beta, it doesn't go very well. So hopefully I won't have to reboot this since we're on stream with several different sites. So give me a moment, and we haven't forgot about you. I'm going to actually restart the music. Just make sure that it keeps going, keep us entertained while we're trying to do this. So thank you for joining Archangel Alts. Gordon Freeman, the free man. I'm going to check this out, see if we can get YouTube to stream properly. Hey everyone, thank you so much for your patience. We're having some issues with YouTube today, so we're going to let things continue with some of our other outlets. Here we are on Twitter, so you can see this guy right here should be working correctly. So hopefully that is the case. In fact, let's get messy here. So yeah, everything looks like it should be good. So this would actually take us to our Periscope. Politico. Cryptocurrency in a global perspective. Looking good. Okay. Yeah, we were just there. Hey, we were just there. So I'm actually going to go ahead and load up our normal look at Binance the client and just let Bitcoin run its course on the big screen here. So this is just a conversation between myself and you guys out there, and this is our premiere episode of Archangel Alt's Politico. Gordon Freeman, free man leading people from the darkness into the light through cryptocurrency, crypto revolution. And Archangel Alts, we have a link for you there. You should see if everything is set up correctly. We're going to be doing our first big kind of test launch with our live webinar on Tuesday evening, March 19th, 2019, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'd love for you to come and join us. You just click the thing and register, and we'll send you an announcement when and where to be for the live thing. Exciting because we'll be able to take your chats and answer your questions live at the end of our segment. So anybody that is interested in learning more about what we're trying to do and why we're doing it, we're just really reaching out today and letting you know more and more information. Just kind of open up the conversation. I know it's a little one-sided right now, but we're going to be reaching out more to some folks in our crypto community. Some really interesting things like the Steam platform with Steemit and DTube. DLive is doing some interesting things on the blockchain. Just some interesting projects that I want to talk about. So that kind of leads me into the topic Crypto Politico. I am not looking to enforce or inject my own personal political beliefs or feelings about government in general into this. I think that there are a lot of things that many people would kind of share enough of a perspective on that you don't really have to put it in the opinion category, but more just in the logical what kind of things we're looking for when we think about a people's revolution of economic magnitude not known before this time in history. So sometimes when we look at something that is this important in our time, in our space, in history, you have to kind of look at it from a perspective of, we are all, mostly people are very busy. There's all the different things that factor into life, work, family, friends, and also the distractions, binge watching and social media, for example. Obviously we take advantage of that the best that we can, but we are in the midst of a time that is so transformational, and there are people who truly believe that and recognize that and are trying to point directions and pave the way for things. Pardon me, sip of water time. And then there's a lot of people that just really are not aware that anything is going on. Life continues for them like normal. So it's very easy for even, intelligent adults to tend to have that mentality that if you put your hands over your eyes, that things went away, that they're not there. The truth is that if you're not aware of the crypto revolution that is going on, that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It will reach a point of, for lack of better words, it'll reach a point where so many people start to be aware of it that the spreading of information becomes exponential, and we reach a point of mass adoption. So the thing that I put out there, we have a hashtag for our Twitter folks. Hashtag crypto louder megaphone. And the purpose of that is that, I'm a guy here streaming and I have some things to say, And obviously, we believe that there's an impact to be made by helping people to find a way towards financial freedom through day trading live with you, walking you through our moves. We seem to be doing pretty well, so you could do so as well. You can join us. We do a lot of this for free, and then we have a deeper dive for our paid members. And we're going to go through a lot of things. Anything that you have questions about, please join us for the webinar tomorrow night, Tuesday, March 19th. Thank you. 9:30 p.m. And we'll be there to present to you Kakashi, who is our partner that has done so much of the web development and R&D, really understands the importance of this time that we're working on, has done an amazing job helping to put this stuff together. So we have survived the soft launch, and we're trying to move into phase 1 of doing the launch, whatever the name would that be. So he will be there walking us through all this fun information tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m., meaning Tuesday the 19th, 2019, March 18th, 9:30 p.m. Did I mention that we have a webinar at 9:30 p.m.? Okay. Yes. So, Crypto Politico, looking at the impact of crypto politics around the world. And I'm not going to go into tons of specifics. As you notice, I'm not drawing up a lot of news articles right now. We will go into that kind of thing. But as a premiere, I just want to put some general stuff out there that I think matters. And I will check and see how the feeds are working. So I'm not going to let this go for very long, but I just want you to understand the importance of what is happening in our time. Along with the hashtag CryptoLouder megaphone, I'm also putting out there something that a lot of people are using, hashtag mass adoption altogether. Mass adoption being that pivotal point where it's no longer a secret. The word is out on Bitcoin. And obviously we want that because mass adoption is going to drive value, and value will kind of pin itself against scarcity, and that scarcity model will cause the value to go up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people have a lot invested in a lot of coins, but there's also the impact measure that matters. As more people see the usability of coins and why does blockchain matter, we get deeper and deeper into that. There's a cause and effect that happens there. Everybody on this planet lives in a country, and the majority of countries have leadership that is structured around control. And control leads to a false sense of power, and power leads to greed. And you put these things together, and even the best forms of government, there are a lot of people who are true believers in different forms of government, but typically, there's centralized control at the top, and it's a handshake with centralized banking. So, I'm not here from a purely libertarian or libertine perspective. I appreciate those who are idealistic about freedom and having it. And the decentralized nature of cryptocurrency is the thing that is so appealing under these conditions, right? So that we are absolutely on board with. One of the issues with that is that everybody lives in a town and a country somewhere, okay, and there are laws that cannot be broken. And then there's a big part of the movement of crypto that says kind of like that doesn't matter. Things are so bad, we're going to find a way around it. So without taking a stance on that, I think that there are situations where if you have a people who are, let's say, falling into deeper poverty, and they have a purely corrupt government trying to seize control of everything free. Those people see the biggest value in something like cryptocurrency. They're willing to risk getting caught on the black market. They're willing to risk paying a premium to be able to own Bitcoin so that they can use it separate from tyranny. And I think that that's a huge, big, mega massive deal. Really big deal. And so I kind of applaud the efforts of people who are trying to stand up for their freedom in very uncertain times. Certainly, better than looting. It's better than, say, well, gosh, if I can't have things my way, I'm going to burn things to the ground. It's not a good ideology. But trying to find a way to do better for oneself, and crypto is a way of motivating and freeing them in that way. that could be a really big deal. I think it's great. It's also dangerous, and that not the kind of thing that anybody can necessarily go out there on a limb and say, "Hey, do this." So, the politics from that side is very difficult as a people's movement in the places that it's needed most. But that's why I think that now is the time. It's this window that will start to close probably at an accelerated rate. The more that it seems that people are talking about crypto projects and finding freedom through them, the more that governments and banks will start to get on board at an accelerated rate. JP Morgan with their coin and their blockchain, some people are saying it's not technically really blockchain. Well, I kind of sort of think they're using the technology in the proper way for what they're trying to do. So, it's not necessary to nitpick there. But, these are global bankers who have been, putting down anybody who believes in Bitcoin. There's no value in it, and you got to be stupid to think that it's going to have value. It's not going to take off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Suddenly, yeah, blockchain is great. We're going to use it. The previous things that I've said, most unfortunate. Okay. Two different possibilities there. They're not really fully thinking through the things that they put out there, and then they got to stand by it, and then they got to step aside, or it's intentional. And I think that it's more of number two. I think that all of the negative press, CNBC, Fox, and other outlets that are very, extremely bearish, stay away from crypto is just crazy. It's all over the place. That is loud and clear. So people kind of tune out to the rest of it. Then, you have this sudden move saying, hey, maybe blockchain is usable. We're still not really sure about Bitcoin. It'll fail, but, blockchain is usable. So at least something good came from it. Well, I mean, clearly, despite all of the shifts in power happening between the different coin teams, crypto is not going away. It has proven its ground over a decade, and it's still here. And it has survived the hard fork with Bitcoin Cash, and not so much the technical aspect, but the way that the blockchain was used in that time has certainly led to the drop in value in Bitcoin. And yet Bitcoin is pushing back against the 4,000 range. And the distance, really and truly, I mean, this is just really kind of how it works. The distance between 3 and 4,000 and the impact of that range is greater than being able to jump from 4,000 to 8,000 or 8,000 to 12. I know that seems strange, but just it is, first of all, it's much easier for a coin or anything of value to go down than it is for it to go up. It takes twice the effort and twice the volume to go from a low point to a high point. And I know that seems strange, but it's just true. You can see steady climbs, slow climbs, if there's literally no selling of any great measure going on. You can do that without it having to be astronomical. But for the most part, low values going up in value are much more difficult. But once they start to accelerate, it's a snowball effect. And with something like Bitcoin, it does so unnaturally. Yes, some of the pushes, a little bit of manipulation in there, a little bit of pumping going on there, but technically, if you've got 1,000 Bitcoin that's your own, it's not technically wrong for you to put in positions that you want to put in. It's just the motive there might be crossing a little bit of a red line there. But so the move upwards is like a signal to say, more than just the markets. This is more than just money. This is about control of liquidity and the fluidity of people's economy through the government, through taxation, et cetera, all these different things. So, we find from, even somewhere, that it's kind of sad where we think of the United States as representing freedom. And historically, we see a lot of history sometimes being rewritten to paint a gloomy picture. There are, many different sides to the history of many different countries, but there is this idealism of a beacon of hope, beacon of freedom, and the people who live here historically have really believed in that kind of ideal. We've shifted, strong moves, pro banking, anti banking, pro investments, anti investments, pro big corporations, anti big corporations, and that rubber band effect. Really, it comes down to the human nature of greed and power and control. And so, if one can think of it in terms of um, leading an ideology by leading a movement, that is where we are. And I just looking at the cryptocurrency side of things. First of all, the cryptography itself resolves so many different problems in the system. People seem to, I think, underreact when a huge department store is breached and all those customers' personal information is leaked, including, technical details about their banking or their credit cards. Terrible, terrible thing to happen. When it happens with banks, it should, be shameful to them. They should not be able to hold their heads up until they have a security issue resolved. So with crypto, the last decade has actually proven that unless you click on a bad link, or you lose your private key, or you tell the wrong person the wrong information, you're much more secure than the regular processes that have been in place all this time. Crypto has proven that it works for privacy. It's proven that it works for security. It also has proven that it creates an immutable ledger, meaning that it doesn't go away, which can be a really good thing as long as it was done right. Imagine if you put the wrong information in a smart contract that can't be edited. So there's that side to it, of course. So, with freedom comes there's the push for freedom and the push against it. And governments tend to have, along with greed and power, come other negative traits over time, which is that they can become almost emotionally unstable. As an entity, the concern that something might happen if they lose control of people, keeping an eye on their spending, keeping an eye on their spending habits, on their livelihood. There's things like Sesame Credit that China is implementing to reward people for being good members of the state and to punish people for being bad members of the state. And everything from their credit scores to their access to privileges can be revoked that way. So, people in a country like that have a sense for a wish for freedom, just like people from anywhere else. Now, that ideology may be marred or scarred by the education that they receive or what the culture leans towards, and that's unique in over 180 different places because people come from places. But I think most of us could agree that the outcomes of war times and the clash of belief and the clash of freedom, we don't like seeing millions of souls lost. These are not good things. And you better believe that the economy drives a lot of that, just like idealism does. So once again, this is not to hyper-focus on specific governments and their politics right now, but to kind of show that the overall ebb and flow, the pushback of freedom, the use of cryptocurrency. People will use words like democratization and centralization, decentralization. One aspect of it, I think, is important to keep in mind that the programming teams at the center of different projects and their spokespeople are very centralized. So each of these coins come with, the fact that there are teams of people, and there are the beliefs that back those decisions that they make. And the markets will often reflect that kind of thing. On the flip side of that as well, when you have a free market, so to speak, and you have whales that have 1,000 plus BTC, maybe even 10,000 BTC, maybe even more than that, you're going to have centralization too. They can do things with the market that we can't do. So power is there. The different levels of power are there. What we don't want is the huge influx that is coming of every bank and some powerful financial institutions and governments all issuing their own stable coins. These things are going to continue to be made. They're going to be continue to be implemented. And unfortunately, a lot of the mass adoption is going to come through just that simple awareness that it exists and governments are issuing these things. Well, first of all, what is the problem with that? The problem with that is that stable coins dilute the market, number one. That would be like if you were trying to back Bitcoin against every single individual country's fiat currency. You would have a massive diluting of the perceived value because the trading becomes split between more and more and more different separate entities versus having Bitcoin against multiple different altcoins, and each of those altcoins either prove themselves worthy or eventually fizzle out. That's the free market, or at least a representation of it that is more healthy. When you have more stable coins, just for example, the example's right here in front of us. I've got Bitcoin as it's trading against Tether, USDT. A lot of fake news on Tether. The truth is that, unless at some point it truly fails or shows that it is not really representing its value somehow, Tether is the biggest one to trade against if you're not actually doing dollars or euro or something else. And right now we're at $88 million represented in Tether in 24-hour volume. Well, we also have the option of PAX. We also have the option of USDC. We have the option of USDS. And we have the option of TUSD, not USDT, which is Tether. And each of those are an extremely small segment of trading compared to with Tether. But even 5% or 7% or 10% can show that there is less volume between these. So what is going to have the main effect? It's not, Bitcoin doesn't have a price of its own unless it is being bought and sold, and that drives up a model for scarcity. I mean, it would just be at some arbitrary number and just sit there. So if you have, 200 different stable coins, each one representing a government and a few banks in there, you might have $10,000 of volume in one of them and $100,000 of volume in another one. And people might see that, okay, well, I'm tracking just this one market pair to represent the larger market capitalization, and it's going down from, let's say, 80 million down to 70 million, and it doesn't ever recover from that. Well, the value of Bitcoin didn't go down, but it was diluted because of what it's being traded against. That's the number one problem. The second problem with global politics and centralization and cryptocurrencies isn't the idea of freedom and democratization and being able to have a currency that is not owned by a government. Isn't the idea to get away from centralization outside of the cryptocurrency climate. So when you have government coin, number one, number two, number three, and Home Depot coin, and Walmart coin, and all the things that are, there's absolutely no question they're going to come, and some of them will be listed, some of them will not. But doesn't that go against the ideology of wanting it to be decentralized? You're bringing the centralization into the actual marketplace that is supposed to be freedom from that. So first of all, you don't want it to be a dream killer. You don't want it to be, oh, I don't believe in Bitcoin anymore because all the governments are coming in and people can trade against that, and that's bad. But it's also, in an individualized way, it means that a government could very easily say, if you're not going to use our fiat, then you'll have to transfer whatever your value is over to our crypto version of our fiat. And a government very easily could say, we're not going to issue any more of X unless you do Y. And those types of things have already occurred on some levels, just not with crypto yet. So my push is that if this is something that is a revolution, it needs to happen from the people that use it. And it's important to realize that there's a difference between the potential evils and pitfalls of capitalism and the banking sector that people, look at it as the banks and too big to fail, that kind of stuff. There's a difference between that and promoting the cryptocurrency climate of trading. Okay, trading crypto is very unique to trading stocks. And eventually those two are getting to a place where they will start to merge. but hopefully the free decentralized aspect of it will not go away in that process. So if that is the case, now is the time for mass adoption. There truly is no other time in history as important as this. There is this entire other stock exchange that most people are not even aware of that exists. And it's sitting in parallel doing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of value in trade. So mass adoption comes from... Okay, so we had a disconnection on OBS and it is reconnected. Huh, this won't leave here for some reason. That's strange. Okay, very strange. Well, we're back here. It's still working. Oh my goodness, the day for technical issues, isn't it? So as long as it gets it out of the system today so that we can do our live stream tomorrow, should be great. So what is the point of all this? What is the point with the global politics of crypto? I'm going to keep driving home the same message until I know that it's picking up. This needs to be a people's movement, and there's something that a very large number of people can do that is unique to this time in history, and that is to go onto the Binance Exchange, set up an account, do your two-factor authentication, and within minutes you're ready. Go and wherever you please, wherever you prefer. The options I wish were better already for where you can actually buy your first crypto, but just do what you can, whether it's Coinbase or Gemini or some smaller wallet trading DEX type thing. Get some Bitcoin, get it on the Binance Exchange, and you can trade it with Steem, you can trade it with Waves, you can trade it with Ethereum, you can trade it with all of the things, even Ethereum Classic. Some smaller coins you may not have heard of before, Fuel, Fun, GTO. You can trade it with Binance's own coin, BNB. It has been going up in value tremendously. And, hats off to them unless they prove to be evil, which they haven't thus far. There's some people that are putting it out some, let's just call it what it is. They're absolutely ridiculous videos. They don't understand crypto or the news that they're sharing at all. Don't understand global politics or economics. They don't know what they're talking about. So if anything evil does come out with Binance, yes, I will be upset about it, but I'm not an idealist to the point where I don't think that anybody could do it wrong. It's just they've proven to be very stable and privacy and security related, so good stuff there. But if you can only afford $100, $200 worth of crypto, look, Bitcoin's going up more. You can still have an impact if 1 million other people, 10 million other people do the same thing. We can actually equal several different whales. And the next thing, too, is that if you learn how to do this well enough, and we do the same, eventually we might become whales, too. We can go from minnow to shark to whale. And a whale could change the world for the better, couldn't it? Couldn't they? Couldn't we? Couldn't they? So just food for thought. Mass adoption equals liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. I choose Binance. Come follow us. We intend to take the responsibility of being thought leaders and mentioning these things, putting these ideas out there very seriously. We do not do this lighthearted, lightweighted. We care a lot about this. So, if religion and philosophy and the arts and economics are the typical central driving forces of humanity and society, social change, we're talking about the economic aspect of that, but it leaks into philosophy, it leaks into the politics. So just the idea of the governments and central powers coming in to the crypto market via stable coins is the easiest thing for them to do to represent their own monetary system in the form of a new technology. Once they are there, people's perception of decentralization is going to change. So we're getting ahead of that. We're trying to get you to think about it now. Think if millions of people, if we reach millions of people who all only have $100 they put on the exchange and they learn how to trade, you could have, 10 million, 100 million, even $1 billion extra dollars worth of crypto coming to the markets. Well, I mean, if only 20% of that were running through Bitcoin to Tether, then we would see, the $200, $300, $400 million 24-hour volume that it takes. I mean, I've already seen what it takes when it shifts over to that, the rate of liquidity starts picking up, and coins that are being traded, transactions can happen faster. Those faster transactions mean that people can build their wealth quicker, and you can use that not only to earn a living, but to build up a future that is going to be, instead of 15, 30 years to make compounded interest in, possibly 1 to 3 years, you could have even more than that you could retire on. But even more so, you can change your community, change for the better the lives of those around you. That is why it matters, doing well for others. That means, looking at money as a responsibility with wisdom. And with wisdom, we wish to trade cautiously, to make good decisions in assessing and measuring the value of things against each other. And in the global politics picture of that, governments can have better systems that know better citizens that know how to fend for themselves. And I think that's, along with freedom comes responsibility, the ability to lead in your own groups and your own locales. So I hope that this has been good food for thought. I hope that you appreciate it and enjoy it. God bless you guys. This is Gordon Freeman, the free man, leading you from the darkness into the light through the crypto revolution. Hashtag crypto louder megaphone. Spread it out there. Let people know that this is going on. And if you are around tomorrow evening, please be a part of our webinar. We are kind of doing a test launch. Make sure that we can record it and share it with people. We will be there if you are there to answer any questions. We will stay there as many hours or days or weeks as it takes to answer all of your questions. I will get more coffee if I need to. All right. Talk to you soon, guys. And until the next time, Archangel Alts out.